Good evening, sir. I am Abdulrajak from 2nd MA English. I am going to introduce the play called Measure for Measure. Measure for Measure. It is a play. It was written by William Shakespeare. First, I introduce the author introduction of William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born on April 1564 and he died on 23 April 1616. He was an English playwright, poet, and actor. He is widely regarded as greater writer in Indian English language and the world pre-eminent dramatist. He is often called as an English national poet. His extant work including he consists some 39 plays, 154 sonnet, 3 long narrative poems. Some of uncertain authorship also. His plays have been translated into every major living language and are performed more often than thousands of any other playwright. Next is Shakespeare notable works. Shakespeare bibliography and the genre of play, comedy, history, tragedy. Poetry means sonnet, narrative poem, epitaph. Shakespeare was born and raised in Stafford upon Avon, Wessex at the age of 18. He married Anne Hathaway. I just introduce the author introduction shortly, and next I go to straightly the play Measure for Measure. Measure for Measure, it is a comedy. It was first folio published in 1623. It is called as a problematic play, dark comedy. Okay, I just introduce the characteristic. There are 13 major characters. First, Vincentio, Duke of Venice. He is Duke of Venice. He disguised the play as a friar. Next, Angelo. He is deputy duke. He is villain. Next, Claudio. He is in prison. Isabella, sister of Claudio, charm virgin woman. Lucio, friend of Claudius. He rents a brothel mansion. Next, Escapulus, wise advisor for the dark duke. He is a merciful person. Escapulus is a merciful person. Mariana wants to marry Anglio. Mistress Overton, she rents brothel place. Pompey, clown, he helps Mistress Overton. Provost, chief at the prison. Juliet, pregnant with her lady. Elbow, he is a constable. And the last character, Bernardine, he is a long-term prison in the jail. The play is set in Vienna. The play follows Duke has he temporarily hand over the power to Anglio. Next, I just go to the plot. Measure for Measure. The Duke of Vienna asks a nobleman, Anglio, to assume leadership of the city and uphold the law while the Duke is away traveling. He commands Anglio to uphold the law and reveals that he plans to remain in the city instead. Vincent disguised as a friar to see how city responds and what he expect will be Anglio more strict upholding of the law. Sometime after Duke departure, Anglio imposes a death sentence on Claudio, who has impregnated his wife to be Juliet. Before their marriage, Lucio, a friend of Claudius, relays his news to Isabella. Claudius' sister, who has begun training to be nun. Isabella, a religious belief cast, had disapproved Claudius' transgressions, but Lucio had to beg Anglio for clemency, a begging for his brother. She pleads her case into from an Anglio who appears to grow gradually more sympathetic. He tells her to return tomorrow to hear his decision. Anglio, who prided himself on his ice-cold demeanor and upcoming restaurant, it is distressed to realize that he is enamored of Isabella. The next day he offers her a bargain. If she will sleep with him, he will release her brother. There is a condition. Anglio asked on condition to her sister to release brother. Isabella is initially too native to understand Anglo intentions. When Anglo asks her outright, she refuses, scandalous by indecent proposition. She visits Claudio in jail and reports his interaction to him. He initially supports her decision to remain pure. However, Claudio changes his mind and begs his sister to take up Anglio's offer. Isabella is offended by her brother's request. The disguised Duke arrives and convinces her to orchestrate the liaison with Anglio. When the time comes to seduce Anglio, women named Mariana, a former fiancée of Anglio, whom he abandoned, she lost her brother, her dowry in shipwreck, will take Isabella's place. Even after this encounter takes place, Anglio remains his words and under Claudio's pleadings. At the Duke urging Provost, who runs the jail, deceives Anglio by sending him the head of dead parrot. Coming it belonged to Claudio, the Duke sends a letter to Anglio announcing that he will soon return to Vienna. On his arrival, the Duke requests a public hearing before the city gates where citizens can go to seek redress for injustice. When he reads this letter, Anglio nervously wonders whether Isabella is denounced him publicly and regret of ordering Claudius' execution out of fear and retributions. At the hearing Isabella, she speaks out against Anglio, but no undisguised Duke pretends not to believe her. Mariana too tells her story, but the Duke remains unconvinced. The Duke then reappears in his freer costume, and Lucio accuses him for disrespecting the Duke. In an ensuing scuffle, the Duke's disguise is removed. His masquerade revealed the Duke carries along overdue justice. He forces Anglio to marry Mariana, though he wishes sentence the death. Mariana and Isabella convinces the Duke to spare Anglio. Claudio is permitted to marry Juliet, and Lucio is reprimanded and compelled to marry a prostitute who has borne him a child, who he refuses to wed. Finally, the Duke asks Isabella to consider monastic vows, marry him instead. The play, Vincenzo is disguised friar. He wants responsibility to how the peoples are treated, how the peoples are follow the rules and regulations. So he disguised and he ordering Anglio to control the temporarily kingdom to maintain the king. Immediately Anglio Anglio strictly maintain and control the orders. Before the marriage, they have no sex. They have no good relationship. They his intention, but at the middle, when he saw Isabella, he want to seduce Isabella, but Isabella is a virgin woman. It is some different kind of thing. It shows the measure for measure play. It shows a different way of people living, and they lead their roles, and they followed by the king. At the end, Duke, he disguised as a friar. After he removed the disguise, and he shows his reality, and he ordered the peoples, and he fully Vincento, he is the king. He notices all the things, what happened, what the mistakes are going in his kingdom. At the end, Anglio and Mariana, Vincento orders Anglio to marry Mariana, and finally Vincento wishes to marry Isabella. He approach Isabella to marry him. This is the whole play for Measure for Measure. It is written by William Shakespeare. Thank you, sir.